So it's been a well-known fact at this point that Pakistan's participation in the ICC World Cup, as they themselves have clarified, is down to, yeah, it's dodgy to put it politely. It has been, as they've said, put down to government clearance to whether or not they can come to India. So there's been a lot of talk, and now the latest bit of news that we have on this is that the Pakistan government have set up a high-profile committee that will now be taking a call on whether or not they'll finally make the trip to India.
Yes. So basically, Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has set up a committee that will decide on whether or not it is safe to travel to India for the World Cup. So a lot of high-profile ministers as well as intelligent agencies will be a part of this committee, and they will decide on whether or not it will be safe to travel to for the Pakistan team to travel to India, and Shane will read out
So there's of course the Pakistan PM Shehbaz Sharif. There's also the Foreign Minister Bilwal Bhutto Zardari, Interior Minister Rana Sanola, and the Law and Justice Minister, that is Azam Nazir Tarar. These are some of the names, or some of the high-profile names. There are plenty of others, and we'll not go through each and every one of them. But this is, let's put it this way, it's a name with all of the bigwigs of who are forming the current government. So clearly, this is something they're taking quite seriously when it comes to, let's say, prolonging matters. If we're being cynical,
Yes, I mean, from the looks of it, it looks like as if they're taking this very, very seriously, because look at the kind of, high-profile government members that are involved in this committee at the moment, because there was this letter that was sent by the PCB to the government last week, where a lot of questions were asked for the
the government, yeah.
of the government, where PCB basically asked that what does it take for us to go to India, because they had already rejected the idea of playing at Ahmedabad, playing at Mumbai. So now they had sent a letter on asking what step is next in this process, and this is the news that we got today about Shehbaz Sharif setting up a committee is an answer to that letter.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, if we remember, there was talk that, and this already stretches back to that Asia Cup, because, India had said very clearly that, look, we're not going to be playing in Pakistan. So they had to adopt the whole hybrid model, and thereafter Pakistan had also said that, look, if it really comes down to it, then we're not going to be coming to India. And then there was the entire thing of ICC sending delegates, including Chairman Greg Barkley, to say that, look, if they accept the hybrid model, don't make any problems when it comes to the World Cup. Clearly, that's a memo that has not been received, but it's also worth remembering that with the PCB, things are always in flux. So, this entire thing happened when, of course, Najam said he was the interim chairman. Now he's no longer the interim chairman and is in fact out of the race for becoming the next chairman. Next one will, of course, most likely be Zaka Ashraf. That's been well known at this point. But the entire thing is just getting elongated at this point, to the point where, in fact, this is probably one of the first times that something like this is happening, even in Pakistan, wherein, there's such a high-profile committee of ministers set up to take a call on something like this, which, truth be told, you thought would be a given, considering it's a cricket World Cup. Cricket in general would want Pakistan to be there.
Yeah, and among the main points, it is being said that the committee will decide majorly on whether or not Pakistan will travel to Ahmedabad for their third league stage game against India, that is to be held on October 15th. Well, if you're just joining us, we have received the news that Pakistan PM Shehbaz Sharif is now setting up a committee to check or to decide whether or not Pakistan will visit India for the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, again, as I said, it's an unprecedented step which has been taken. And again, if you're just joining us, it really does extend back to what we've talked about with the Asia Cup debacle, the hybrid model being proposed. And there, in fact, Pakistan also made it very clear that just like India, we too need our government's clearance when it comes to actually traveling to the other country. Because again, the reason that India said that we will not be able to travel to Pakistan or won't be played there is because they need government clearance. And it was government clearance they were pretty clear they were not going to get.
Yes.
So, similar thing is happening. The only difference is here is being played out entirely in the public eye. Now, of course, as I said, you can view this cynically and say that, yeah, you know what, this is them playing to the gallery. This is them showing that, look, we've done our due diligences, we've done our processes, and then and only then we'll make a call. But it's really just dragging things out at this point. And truth be told, it's already been dragged out enough. I mean, you got the schedule just towards the end of June, when the World Cup is supposed to be happening in October. So I just don't understand the point of all this posturing. At least that's my take on it.
Yeah, no, I have a similar take on it because look at it, it's been going back and forth for a couple of months now when we talked about, when it was released that Pakistan will be hosting the Asia Cup, and then, of course, India was hosting the World Cup, and it's been back and forth since then. BCCI very diligently, raised concerns over it, and they were valid concerns, by the way, which could not have been ignored at that point. But after that, BCCI also agreed on the hybrid model, so there was
Let's say some compromise
from both parties. But then PCB since then has been very uncompromising since then, and they have been putting a lot of conditions forward, which is not it's so, the World Cup is so close right now. I don't think this is the right time to be having such concerns, because if I don't know, this should have been happening a year earlier.
Yeah, and truth be told, it has been going on, but the fact is that there's been no resolution reached. Should probably let it be known that this is a lost cause. Oh, look, you didn't want to play in Ahmedabad. Too bad. The match is happening in Ahmedabad, and I don't think there are any legit security concerns of going to Ahmedabad. I could understand Mumbai because, truth be told, there have been instances in the past. But I mean, you're playing a match in Pune anyway, so quite clearly, I don't understand what the logic is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're not aware of that either. But either which way, again, so you're talking, and we're dredging up the whole Ahmedabad thing, and it's constantly going on. But then what? The final is also scheduled to be there. Let's assume Pakistan make it to the final. Are they going to say no, ship the venue last minute? That's not how it works. These things take months of planning, because there's a logistical thing aside from just picking venues. This isn't a video game where you're changing venues. There's a whole lot of planning and logistics that takes place, and I think all of that due diligence has been done by this point. And if there's still issues which are being caused, I mean, look, I hope to God that this gets resolved soon enough, and you get some clarity, because at this point everything seems to have an asterisk to it, and that's not good. It's just not.
Yeah, it was made very clear by Jay Shah that the World Cup final would be held at Ahmedabad, and Pakistan had at the very beginning rejected the idea of playing the final at Ahmedabad as if they were going to.
I mean, that's a whole different matter altogether as to whether or not they'd even be making it. But,
exactly, but since then it's been a whole debacle on whether or not PCB will visit Ahmedabad, and since the final is there, I think it's more of a concern. And there were there was news coming in that a security personnel will be visiting Ahmedabad and
India, in fact. Remember to vet out all of those venues. We covered that news as well.
Yes, to check whether or not there was any security threat. And we welcomed it because...
Well, look, okay, there'll be some movement, but now there's just more and more things which are happening. But okay, fair enough. I hope this due diligence of theirs is, rewarded, and they finally make the call to travel to India. Because again, at this point, sooner rather than later. Because again, at this point, if they actually do say at the last minute that, we're not coming, it's just throwing everything into chaos, and not the good kind of chaos. Not that there's any good kind of chaos, but you get my point. So that's the breaking news update from us for you guys, is that the Pakistan government has set up an entire committee to determine the security issues or the perceived security threats that they may face in India, and then to, of course, help them take a call with, of course, other things we're talking about, them sending teams and whatnot. So there's plenty going on, and as I said, this is a story that will keep developing. So stay tuned to Sports Today. We'll bring you all of the latest updates for it, but if you have to do that, you're going to have to stay subscribed. And if you enjoyed this video, like it, share it with your friends, leave us a comment, tap that bell icon so you know when we're going live, and don't forget
to download the SportsTak app.
Also follow us across socials. Bye-bye.